Hello friends, I hope this video is finding you all well. I'm actually having a fantastic week. So I wanted to show you my newest creation and how to make it. So yeah, stick around. Okay, so first thing, I got this at a garage sale many years ago. It had good bone structure. I've just never done anything with it. And so I'm going to take everything off of it, and I'm also going to use one of those white steer heads from the Dollar Tree. So if you guys want to make this, just because I got this at a garage sale doesn't mean you can't make it too. So I would suggest going to Michael's or Hobby Lobby and getting a birdhouse. Hobby Lobby actually has all of those log wood pieces in different sizes and colors and styles. So you can add all those to it to make it look like a little log cabin birdhouse. So I wanted to show you how I painted the steer head to make it look a little bit more realistic. So I mixed black and a darker brown to do the body. And then I didn't even clean my brush off. I wanted the variation in color, and I used the medium brown to go over the horns. So I'm just gonna let that sit and dry. I don't want it to dry completely, but some. So while that's drying a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and remove all of this excess stuff off of there that somebody else had put on it. So you can clearly see it's just a birdhouse with the wood pieces put on it. And I wanted a little bit more depth to it, so I'm just adding shadow with that black and dark brown mixed together. And I'm using a lot of water on my brush to really spread it out. So I'm going around all of those little wood pieces to create shadow and depth. I personally do not like everything just kind of one color. I don't like seeing the light wood edges where you can see where it's been cut. So I'm just going to go over that with my light brown or dark brown and black and mixed with water. This is actually mostly water. So I'm also going to use black to conceal the cut edges in the actual hole for the birdhouse. And I'm also going to go underneath there to create a shadow and underneath the whole thing. So next I'm going to grab my steer head again. I'm going to mix some white with the darker brown, and I'm just going to lightly, it doesn't look like it, but trust me, I'm using very light strokes to go over the entire top front of the face and right down the front of that muzzle. And because it's not completely dry, which is why I didn't want it completely dry, I'm just going to keep pulling from kind of near the ears down, and that's going to draw some of that darker brown in with it and mix it in with it, so it's a gradual transition. I'm also going to go over the cheeks and the muzzle, and also I'm going to go down straight down the side of the neck on both sides. So it's probably easier for you to just watch what I'm doing versus me trying to explain. So this is, I think I had told you in the last video that I am an artist. I got a scholarship when I was 12 years old to go to the Art Institute. And this is different. I mostly paint on saw blades, but it's always deer and elk and bears and stuff like that. So here you can see I'm mixing white with the lighter brown. I'm going over the same areas. So I also ran a ceramic department for many years at the fair. So this is kind of like how you would paint ceramics. But yeah, you want to start with your shadow colors first, the darkest colors, and work your way up to the light. So I'm going over those same areas, and I'm going to go over very lightly the tips of the ears. I'm not getting the paint on the inside of the ears, just the outside, and right down the side of the face and the back of the ears and the back of the neck. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but that bar that's holding the ears. There's like a bar that's not part of the horns and it's not part of the body. It's just part of the ornament. So I just painted that brown to match the body. I'm not painting it to match the horns because that would look really strange. So here I'm going to use some black and paint the eyes. And I want kind of like how women would make a wing tip with their eyeliner. I'm kind of doing that with the eyes, if that makes sense. And I always have a paper towel there to dab off any extra paint. And yeah, I just want kind of a natural looking eye. I also put a little bit of black, very light, a very dry brush inside the ears and on the nose, the underside of the nose and the muzzle, like around his mouth, very lightly. I don't want like I don't want him to look like he has a mustache, I guess. So I'm gonna set him aside and let him dry just a little bit more. And then I'm gonna grab him and go with that lighter brown. I'm gonna go over the horns. Now, to make the horns look realistic, I have my darker color underneath, so I'm working my way up. My brush is dry. My brush is dry. I do not have water added to it. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little tiny white dot to his eye, and that makes it look like light shining on his eye. And I'm also going to go over his horns. Now with the darker brown, I covered the entire horn. With the lighter brown, I went over it patchy. And with the white, I want a very dry brush and I'm gonna drag it along. I want it to be very spotty. And I do not want everything looking smooth because that's not how horns look. That's not how bone looks. So you can see multiple different colors in here. And I do have bright white in some areas. And while you're painting this, I want you to keep in mind when you're looking at it up close, it's going to look, not perfect. But people are not going to be looking at it up close. It's going to be at a distance. So it's going to be on a wall or on a, somewhere where they're not going to be looking at it up close. But you can see how dragging that white makes the horns look more like bone. So I'm going to use that same color and add some highlights to the top of his face and more like where his eyebrow or eyelid would be, and on his cheeks and the tips of his ears, front and back, and then down the side, basically where you would see a muscle, where you can imagine a muscle would be. And you don't want straight lines because the animal has a lot of fur, so you don't want perfectly straight lines, if that makes sense. So anywhere you want to highlight to really stand out, to show a lot of muscle, then you're just going to lightly go over it with the color. And keep in mind, if you're using acrylics, you can always use water and use with a clean brush and just water on it. You can go back over it and it will act as an eraser, and you can take it off and start over if you choose. So this is how he turned out. I love it. He's very glittery. That glitter from the ornament actually comes through the paint. So I probably would have chose him not to be glittery, but he is. So I'm going to go ahead and use this kind of a twine that came off of a different ornament, and I'm going to use it to attach these horns. They have jingle bells on them. I got those at Walmart for $1.97. Both of them came on one ornament, and I'm going to attach those to the bottom with different lengths of my rope. And Cuckoo Clock has 3 strings at the bottom. I don't know exactly what you call them, but so in the middle one, I'm just going to use one of those little pieces of wood that was originally on it. They had like a tacky red and green garland of some sort on there. So I just used the rope. I'm going to go ahead and add the greenery back on the steer head that was originally on it from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to attach him. And these are the other two pieces of wood that they had originally used to add the things at the bottom. I'm just going to add them at the top, and that's it. I absolutely love how this turned out. Honestly, this thing has been in a tote for many years. I've had it that long and never did anything with it, but I love how it turned out. So if you actually want to make it a functioning clock, they've got those pieces at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, so you can actually attach a clock on there as well. So anyway, I love how it turned out. I hope you love it too. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.